Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you so very much for participating in tonight's teleconference hosted by Congressman Lou Barletta and the Working for America policy with our very special guests, President Donald J. Trump and candidate for U.S. Senate Dave McCormick. My name is Sherry, and I'll be our moderator for the teleconference. At the conclusion of President Trump's remarks, we will be asking two special poll questions, so please stay on the line with us and you'll have an opportunity to participate. It is now my great pleasure to introduce to you our host this evening, Congressman Lou Barletta.
Hey, thank you, Sherry. I'm Lou Barletta, former member of Congress, mayor of Hazleton, and a proud Italian American. I'm happy to be part of this special event in recognition of Columbus Day and the many contributions of Italian Americans in our great country's history. We're at an inflection point with our Italian culture being erased and wokeness taking over. It is so important that those representing us have policies that will protect Columbus Day and our Italian American community. I'm pleased to be joined tonight by former President Donald Trump and Dave McCormick. I can tell you I know firsthand that President Trump has been a strong protector of our Italian culture and proved it with his policies by issuing a proclamation in 2020 protecting Columbus Day. It is now my great pleasure to introduce the next senator from the great Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, Dave McCormick.
Hey, thank you, Lou, so much. Thank you for being such a great supporter. And President Trump, thank you so much for joining us. What an honor to have you here. And just a few remarks up front. You know, for those of you on the line, this is the most important election of our lifetimes. There's so much at stake. And what happens in the Keystone State in Pennsylvania is going to really shape the future of this country. And the Italian American community in Pennsylvania is a huge voting bloc. And what you all do will have a huge impact on the future of the country. And the choice is between strength, the guy you saw on that stage at Butler that stood up and put his fist in the air and said, fight, 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 and the weakness of President Biden, Vice President Kamala Harris. They've shown it time and again. It'll be even worse in a Kamala Harris presidency. And the difference between common sense policies to get our economy back on track, secure our borders, unlock our energy, have peace through strength in the world, versus a radical liberal agenda that Kamala Harris will promote that's truly taking, in her own words, that'll take our country over the cliff. So that's why the stakes are so high. And we also need leadership in Pennsylvania. My Senate race is going to be hugely important, not only for Pennsylvania, but for a majority that can support President Trump in getting those common sense policies in place. And I'm a seventh-generation Pennsylvanian. I'm a political outsider. I'm a successful businessman. I'm a West Point graduate and a combat veteran who served our country in Iraq. And my opponent is a career politician, 30 years in elected office. He has not shown leadership. He's the guy that ducks when the bullets are flying, but worse than that, he's been weak and voted 98% of the time with Biden and Harris. He doesn't stand up against this crazy liberal agenda. When there's a moment to show a strength, Bob Casey shows weakness. He caves on every issue to the woke progressive wing of his party, and there's no issue that's more an example of that than the issue of Columbus Day. And this is an important day to celebrate the generations of Italian Americans and their contributions to making America the greatest country in the world. But Bob Casey disagrees. When he was recently asked by a constituent about canceling Columbus Day and renaming it Indigenous Peoples Day, he said he was open to that consideration. He said for many indigenous communities, Columbus Day serves as a stark reminder of the trauma and suffering that indigenous populations experience. The translation of that worldview is that you and your heritage are the problem, and we can't continue to support a decade-long tradition. There is no doubt our country has had dark chapters, but it is a beacon of light for the world. It's the greatest country in the history of the world, and we've got to fight and stop this political correctness and ensure the greatness of America continues. And there's no greater champion, no one that we can count on more to lead that charge than our next president of the United States, our 47th president, Donald Trump, who is a great leader and someone I'm proud to have supporting me and leading the charge. So, Mr. President, thank you, and over to you.
Well, David, thank you very much. And Lou, thank you. I've known Lou so long, but I've known David a long time too. And he's a hero and he's a brilliant guy. He did incredibly. Every single thing he ever did, he did really well. And I can say that for Lou too. And just Lou he's an amazing guy. And we're going to do whatever we can. This whole thing with Columbus Day, I want to start by saying Happy Columbus Day to everybody on the phone. And we're gonna have a lot of talking about it. What's happening to our country with the border, with letting murderers into our country. Nobody's ever seen anything like it, and we're really not going to take it. We're going to change it around November 5th. It's going to be the most important day in the history of our country. I really believe that. I said in 2016 we were in trouble, but we weren't in trouble like this. The border was bad. I ran largely on the border. I fixed it and made it the best ever, the best we've ever had. In fact, when I left that last day, you know that famous graph, that famous chart, when I left, that was the single best border we've ever had in terms of people coming in and in terms of everything else, drugs, terrorists, every single category. And then after that, it became like a rocket ship upward. They broke all of the sanctions. They broke everything we put on the border. And what a shame. But Dave is going to work with me, and Lou is going to work with me too. Lou's a fantastic man, and he loves the Commonwealth. He loves everything about it, and he loves our country. So it's an honor to be on the phone with both of you. The worst, one of the truly, look, he's a man that everybody's known for a long time. It was him and his father before him, and it's time. You got to get him out. He doesn't do anything for the Commonwealth. He does nothing for Pennsylvania. We have to get Bob Casey out. He's a giant Kamala Harris supporter, and her poll numbers are going down rapidly. I think you see what's happening. Rapidly, to put it mildly. We're leading in every swing state, and we just think we got one where we're now leading fairly substantially in the election itself. People have figured it out. All of the things that she does, all of the bad stuff that she does, everything she's touched has been bad. She's destroyed San Francisco. Then as Attorney General, she's destroyed the state of California. You look at these bills and policies and everything else that they followed, and it is just crazy what's going on in California. First year they had, and again, this was all started by her. First year they had more people leaving, think of it, than coming in. They've never had that, and they have the advantage of weather called beautiful water, beautiful sea, beautiful everything, but it's just a failing place. It's a failing state, and she's the one that started it. She was weak on crime. How about she was the one that conceived of, and very much at the beginning, defund the police. And anybody that wants to defund the police should not even have the right to run for president. She also created that ridiculous law that most people don't even believe in. They don't even believe it could happen. That essentially you're allowed to steal $950 from a store and you won't be prosecuted. After that, you get prosecuted. But let me tell you, when she was in San Francisco, they didn't get prosecuted. Nothing happened, whether it was $950 or not. But people are going in, young kids are going in with calculators thinking they're going to steal $950 and they won't be prosecuted. This was just one of many things. She will be a horrendous, I don't even want to mention it, a horrendous president. It shouldn't have happened. She shouldn't even be running. She was the first one to get cut. She got cut, the first one out of 22 people. Biden won, and whether you like it or not, I'm not a big fan, but he won the primaries. He won them rather easily, certainly easily over her. She was the first one, think of it, the first one to quit. She quit, and then after she quit, they had a race that went on for a while. She's considered further left than Pocahontas or Bernie Sanders. And if you think about that, that's not for our country. But she quit. He got 14 million votes. He was running. We had a debate. His numbers weren't good, to put it mildly. He was probably going to lose, and they came in and they basically took it away from him. They said, this is the first time there's ever been a case like this where they literally took the presidency away from him. It was a coup, but I don't even use that term. They basically took it away, and he's an angry man, and he cannot. I think he likes her probably less than he even likes me, and that's pretty much, I tell you. But we have to not even think about it. We have to remember Bob Casey is no good. He was the one that really started to change Columbus Day to Indigenous Peoples Day. He was right out front, which is a great affront to the Italian people. And, oh, do I know the Italian people well. and they vote for me, and I love them, and they love me, I'll be honest with you. But we're going to do something very great with David. We're going to make America great again by sealing the border immediately. First day, we're going to first say also we can do a lot of things in one day. Stop the invasion of criminals pouring into our country. And we're going to have, not that I want this, but we're going to have the largest deportation of criminals in American history. We're going to end inflation and get costs down, because the fact is the inflation has already done its damage. And we are going to get those costs down. People complain to me about groceries more than any other thing, meaning, who would think that? Meaning the cost of food. You look at bacon, you look at some of these food products, that nobody's ever seen anything like it. Cancel the national gas export ban. They banned from your Commonwealth and it's one of the craziest things, the dollars you're talking about and the jobs, and that's already done. And we're going to terminate the Green New Scam. It's one of the great scams ever, and get Pennsylvania energy workers pumping and fracking and drilling like never before. You're not anywhere near where you should be. And remember this, and I made this pledge, we're going to get price of energy down for your car, for your air conditioners, for your heating by 50%. You know, we have, I don't know if you know, but we have more liquid gold than Saudi Arabia, than Russia, than anybody. I made it energy independent 4 years ago, and now we're getting energy from Venezuela, who was supposed to be our enemy, but Biden probably didn't know that. We're going to stop outsourcing, turn the U.S. into a manufacturing superpower. We're going to have large tax cuts for our workers, including no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, and no tax on Social Security benefits. And I will be able, and I don't think anybody else can say this, but I will be able to prevent World War III, and we're very close. It's right around the corner. If she gets in, it's going to happen, and we can't let that, because of the weaponry. That happens, it's obliteration. We can't let it happen. If you hear in the background, I just left a big rally. We had a fantastic rally in your Commonwealth, and we've had a unbelievable time, but you hear the music in the background. I hope it's nice. Coming along with my words, very appropriate, but coming along with my words, I hope it sounds good to the ear. We're going to cancel the electric vehicle mandate, and we've already cut regulations more than any president in history. They put a lot of them back foolishly. We are the party of common sense, and that's what it's all about. And we're also going to cut federal funding for any school pushing critical race theory and radical gender ideology in week one. I don't know day one, but I can tell you in week one, because you know what we're doing on day one. Again, we're going to get, we built hundreds of miles of wall. We had the best numbers on the border. We had the greatest numbers on the economy that we've ever had as a country, and we're going to get it all back. But in that first week, we're doing the radical gender ideology. It's out, and we're going to keep men out of women's sports. So I just want to thank you for the time, and it's a busy time. Again, it's going to be the most important election in the history of our country. We're losing our country. It's a failing nation. We're not going to let it fail any longer. And David, I want to thank you. You have worked so hard, and you really deserve this, and I'm with you 1,000. I supported him early, and he's just an outstanding man, and I hope everybody on the line, and there are thousands and thousands of people, go out and vote for Dave McCormick. He's a special guy. And Lou, thank you very much. I'll see you all very soon. Thank you, everybody. I'll hand it back to David.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thanks so much, Mr. President. We really appreciate you being part of this. Thank you. Okay, Lou, I think I take a minute here and then turn it back to you. Is that right?
Yep, that's correct.
Okay, good. Listen, that was great to hear from the president. And listen, I'll just say a few final remarks. I know it's late, and then turn it back to Congressman Barletta. Lou, thanks so much again for hosting. But listen, I just want to end with a call to action. If you believe what you heard tonight about the significance of this election, the stakes are so high, the consequences of getting it wrong so great. If you believe that, then we desperately need everybody on this call to not only get out to vote. That's not enough. We need you to get out and tell 10 people and get your family members, get Republicans out to vote, independents and Democrats who think the country's in deep trouble, out to vote. We've got to get a huge turnout to win this election, and we can't let it be too close. And that means that we got to knock on doors and really get people energized. And what I say to my kids and all kids I see on the campaign trails, listen, this is not about old guys like Lou and me. You know, we're going to be fine either way. This is about our kids and our grandkids and making sure the America we leave behind, the America that our forefathers fought so hard to create, is for that next generation of children. And we're going to lose it unless we fight for it. So please, I want to implore you, if you're on this call, get out there, get energized, vote for President Trump, vote for me, get your friends. We've got to win this race. And I'll end with wrestling. Lou and I both grew up in wrestling country. I grew up not far from where Lou lives in Hazleton. And, in wrestling, I wrestled in college. And in the third period, I was pretty good at wrestling. It wasn't the best, but I always knew if I could be within a point or two in the third period, I would win. And the reason I would win is in the third period, it's not about wrestling. It's about mental toughness. It's about heart. It's about staying on offense. It's about being tougher and more resilient than your opponent. And that's the way I'm running these last 21 days of this race. That's why I'm going to win. That's why we all need to fight through this to help President Trump win and help us win up and down the ticket. The future of the country depends on it. So let me end there. Lou, grateful for your leadership, and thanks for hosting, and a happy Columbus Day to everybody on here. If you want to support me or learn more about my campaign, DaveMcCormickPA.com. Thanks again, Lou.
Thanks, Dave. Listen, I know how tough you are, and I know how tough wrestling is. I wrestled as a sophomore in high school and realized that baseball was my sport. So we need those tough leaders back in Washington. Today's a special day. We have to make sure that Italian-American voices will be heard loud and clear. Those that want to replace Columbus Day with Indigenous People Day is insulting and a slap in the face to every Italian-American living and deceased. We need strong leaders who have the courage to stand up and fight for us. I'd like to again thank President Trump, thank Dave McCormick, and all of you for joining tonight. I encourage everyone to please stay on the line and answer 2 poll questions, and I'm going to pass it back to Sherry. Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you, Congressman Barletta, so much for being with us and for hosting. And we thank Dave McCormick for being with us. And thank you to President Trump for a wonderful message and your support. Now it's time for our poll questions. We would love to hear from you, our listeners. Thank you so much for being with us throughout. Please use your phone's keypad to answer the first poll question. The first poll question is, can President Trump count on your vote for Dave McCormick for U.S. Senate? Press 1 for yes. Press 2 for no. Press 3 if you're undecided. We look forward to hearing from you. I'll repeat the first poll question. Can President Trump count on your vote for Dave McCormick for U.S. Senate? Press 1 for yes. Press 2 for no. Press 3 if you're undecided. Thank you so much. I can see the answers are coming in, so we'll keep that poll open for just a few more seconds, and you can continue to get your answers in right away. And we also have another opportunity for you. It's been expressed that voting early is very important in this, election of our lifetime here. So join us to participate in our second poll question now. The second poll question for you is, do you plan to vote early? Press 1 for yes. Press 2 for no. Press 3 if you're undecided. Again, the second poll question tonight for you is, do you plan to vote early? Press 1 for yes. Press 2 for no. And press 3 if you're undecided. Thank you, everyone, for participating this evening. We invite you to check out Dave McCormick's website at DaveMcCormickPA.com for more information. Again, that's DaveMcCormickPA.com. Pennsylvania needs a strong leader. Dave McCormick is Trump endorsed, and Dave McCormick is a champion for our state and will bring true Pennsylvania spirit to Washington for us. Thank you and have a nice evening. This call was paid for by Working for America Policy, 445-207-7377, not authorized by any candidate or candidates committee. This will conclude tonight's teleconference. We appreciate you being with us, and goodbye.